Hi, I'm Shivam,
Hi, I'm Izzy,
and this is Phoenixchat.
where one of us can read.
Which one? You
You
find
find out.
out. Oh man, so thank you all for joining us again for episode 3 of Phoenixchat.
Yeah.
One quick announcement before we start. We have just started up our Patreon page, so if you like what we're doing and want to support us, that is probably the best way to do so. Link in the description if you're on YouTube. Yeah.
Cool things.
Mm-hmm. Oh man. So, easy to start out with. What's your favorite monster one in D&D?
Displacer Beast.
Mm.
Like, I love it because it's like a cat, but it also has tentacles, but it's mostly a cat, and it's like a cool cat. And you can, kill people with said cat.
Doesn't that feel bad though when your players end up killing the cat, or like, do you just always TPK your players?
No. I just like the cat. I just like having the fact that I can put this cool, dangerous, jungle animal without it being too OTP almost.
Mm-hmm.
So I like the cat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, cool, Jungle, panther idea. I honestly really like running Lich encounters. If you ever run a Lich before, I just really adore the lore around them. The idea that they become these powerful magic casters that have almost gone insane with power, and you need to not only destroy them but their phylactery, and it becomes this really interesting quest of there's a very easy plot hook of well, you don't need to just kill the Lich, you also need to destroy the phylactery first and go through the dungeon. And then on top of that too, I think there's a really cool plot hook you can also give your players where they find out some of the Lich's spells, and my absolute favorite spell that the Lich has is Power Word Kill, which if your player's health is low enough, just under 100 HP, they will just immediately die, and considering a lot of
fun.
Casters are very, very squishy even at high levels, it's very, very easy to have this looming over the players where how do we figure out a way to make sure our caster doesn't die. So yeah, I think it's just a really fun encounter, and a really just an interesting way to kind of ramp up the tension for a game.
Dude, that sounds brutal. I'm wow, that would really suck. All of our spellcasters just, snap, gone. Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, and I think that it's fun because the game of D&D in general just has a lot of counters to it, between a high level counter spell, or a Revivify, or any number of death wards or something like that. You can counter it, but you definitely have to plan out how you're going to use it and how you're going to basically bait out this insanely high level spell, which I find is really, really cool for a party to strategize around.
Oh yeah.
Oh man. Yeah, so look forward to that in the Phoenix Heart campaign when I throw a bunch of liches at you guys.
Great! That sounds so fun. I cannot wait to just die like I have, the past 50 times? I should have, a kill counter.
Times just you've narrowly avoided death?
Maybe 5. Maybe. Just because I got lucky.
And speaking of narrowly avoiding death and smooth transitions, we can hop right back into talking about the Phoenix Heart campaign.
Smooth transitions.
Yes, as we last left off our heroes, they tried to fight this very powerful creature in the underground laboratory that promptly proceeded to kick their asses, showed them that this hidden dangerous laboratory, as well as leave a brand on one of the players that makes them take extra damage if they get hit by the shapeshifter. So yeah, fun all around.
Yeah, we fucking lost. We tried. But we got snails.
You did get snails.
We did.
Yeah. The first thing I do want to touch on is that, like, at that point, I was literally doing absolutely random loot. So, I literally had you guys roll D100s, and, like, we got lucky with a couple of them. Like, Hops ended up getting these cool snails, and Boondock got a very thematic, like, animated rope. Yeah. Do you want to talk about what you got and how you felt about that item?
I literally got a cone that sucks the fat out of things. I literally don't know what to do with it. Like, some things that I have gotten, like, I have, like, the tail of a man, or the tail of an antlion, or I have, like, the special edition romance novel. I had plans of things I was gonna do with them. This, I have no idea. Unless we come across, like, a fat monster and I can just chuck it at it and we win, then, like, I don't know.
Ah, yes, the Snorlax encounter.
Oh, yes, let me just, this Snorlax, like...
Oh, man. Yeah, no. I definitely really like the idea of, like, these, like, random magical item tables where, like, you get, like, varying, uses out of them, because, like, you guys can be really creative with them. But I feel like I've given you the most niche item ever.
So you're saying I can re-roll when we start D&D tonight?
Oh my god.
I mean, I'll probably find a use for it once we finally get to Soliana, or like maybe sell it off or something. We'll see.
Yeah, no, if you guys listening have any ideas, please, like, drop them in the comments, or, like, feel free to DM us on Instagram to give Izzy some ideas on how to use this strange magical item.
I literally have no idea what to do with it other than, I could sell this and get alcohol.
Oh, man. Yeah, so you guys then got your loot, and I believe the next thing we did was, had you guys just kind of exit the, dungeon, kind of trying to figure out, like, oh, what the hell do we do now? Yeah, so any thoughts that, like, you had as a player when you kind of realized that, like, we lost kind of big time here?
This was the very first session we did, and we lost, and I was like, wow, maybe I've been playing D&D wrong this whole time, and I just suck at this game, or what? I'm not gonna lie, that's what it was going through my head. I'm like, no.
Oh, no.
Maybe I suck at this game. Well, because this is actually my first time playing a rogue. So I'm like, man, maybe I should have chose, like, something else. But, like, we'll see. So, the next session is now what we're on. A week passed by, and we told Cass and Faith what happened, and Juliet scouted out all of the people who were involved with the whole thing. Boondock arrested them, the whole 9 yards. And then we all had a meeting with the guild leaders. And Susan, Morgan's mom, decides to take over the Ibis Technologious Guild.
I have been pronouncing it a different way every single time I look at that word. I think the word I'm going with is Ibis Cogniocious, which isn't how it's spelled.
We're calling it that now.
Yeah.
I'm probably still gonna say it wrong, but it's fine. But anyway,
honestly, same.
Susan is now the official leader of the guild. That guild. Then we... everybody decided, hey, there is this oracle that we could, go see, because they probably have an intel on how to stop this thing that just, hurt our town. And the only person that knows where it is this man named Mr. Salt that is in Hope's Landing, where Boondock is from. And they're like, okay, all y'all, you can go.
Yeah. So, two big things about that scene. The first one was, when I kind of planned, this big, story arcs and stuff out, the main thing I really had planned for the world was that, I wanted you guys to, have to go, out of the town and, to, the far, corners of the continent in order to, find the oracle. And from there, though, the steps you can take to get there are so varied and different that you could possibly do that I just had it kind of tie into Boondock's backstory, so you could like resolve his whole like character growth details and stuff. But I think it probably honestly could have worked with pretty much anyone's backstory and just like been able to kind of like because really like anyone could have known where the Oracle is in your guys' backstories.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess the big thing was just like whenever I create like a world like that, I just want to like make like these broad strokes and then fill in the details with the backstories that you guys give me. And then this is how we led up into Boondock's arc too, where like how I also like run like campaigns is that I want to have arcs revolving around like the players and their characters instead of like these are hard plot points that you guys need to do. So I just wanted to have you like visit Hope's Landing for a little bit so you could resolve some like some stuff with Boondock there.
Yeah, and I thought it was really like neat to like be surrounded by like what Boondock grew up with, and like we finally understand their character. Like, oh, okay, we get it. The West.
Yeah,
I see.
Mm-hmm.
And seeing Boondock like interact with all these like different NPCs, and we're like, oh, cool. We don't know these people, but I like his mom.
Yeah. And the second part about that whole big scene was that when Elliot told me, or when Boondock's player told me about their backstory, what they basically mentioned was that like they wanted to play with the idea of being lawful versus being good. So we basically came up with the backstory of like these two people, like these like rich greedy businessmen, were basically like ruining the town by like buying up all this land and like taking resources from like the townspeople. And the main thing we wanted was that Mr. Salt has not done anything specifically illegal, but Mr. Salt is also definitely going to be like the villain of the arc.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so it was really fun to kind of like see Boondock play in that space of like that Boondock absolutely hates Mr. Salt like with a passion, but he has to like do this thing because they need to get to the Oracle. And they need to find out what happened with the shapeshifter, and that's much more important than his grudge.
I just thought it was interesting just to, like, see how Boondock reacted to us, like, all of us, not just them, but all of us having to go to where they're from. And I could just imagine they're like, oh my god, I have to take these idiots with me to my hometown.
Yeah, because this is also very early in the campaign, too, so, like, your characters also just, like, completely didn't know each other at all, and so,
oh, yeah.
This is also the big session where I wanted to kind of start introducing each character's personality, and, like, have you guys start to really, like, kind of talk to each other and interact with each other in meaningful ways. Yeah, so, the next part that I had in the, story, then, was for you guys to get to Hope's Landing, you guys would need to take a train. So, from the, like, first day I envisioned, like, the world of Odysseia in general, I wanted to have trains be, like, a part of that environment, because, like, just, like, having that sort of, like, setting is, like, interesting, like, to just, like, kind of run, like, a mini, arc, or, like, some kind of, like, battles and stuff on the train, just because, like, you're all in this closed, setting, until you get to your destination. So there's lots of, like, fun things we could do with, like, the train segment there.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
All I remember is Juliet was late because she slept in because she drank, obviously. We got there and Faith was trying to be all like, "Oh, have a great time," blah blah blah, to Boondock, and they're like, "Yeah, whatever, okay." And I'm like, "Okay, cool." He's very standoffish. I got it. And then I was just like, "Bye, Cass," and just left.
No, I think actually
Morgan had like the most touching moment with his mom, and we were like, bye.
No, I think you actually said to Cass very specifically, like, "Hey, don't die out there, and Cast just immediately replies, like, yeah, you make sure not to do the same. And, like...
Oh, yeah, that's
I thought that was actually really
Yep.
poignant, because, like, you two are obviously, like, close, but you don't really, like, show it.
Yeah, we're too strong to show emotions, like, wipes away tear angrily, like, we're fine.
Oh, man. Yeah, no, it was definitely fun to kind of, like, start playing in the space of, like, how I wanted those NPCs to react to all three of your characters with those, like, tiny little touching goodbyes. Yeah, no. I absolutely adored, figuring out Susan's character especially, because, like, Morgan will absolutely just, like, play up, like, the childish son act so well.
Oh, yeah.
And, like, just having, like, Susan dote on Morgan was just, like, super easy to just, like, establish this interesting character that you guys all end up, like, loving.
The protagonist, you mean?
The protagonist, yes. Oh, man. Yeah, so, do you want to explain then, you guys hopping on the train?
So, we get on the train, the train's a-going, and then we finally get to a point where it's only us on the train, and
Actually,
then the train makes the...
I think you forgot the train whistle part.
Well, hold on, this is how I remember it.
Oh, no, you got it.
So
Sorry.
I remember that we're on the train, and it takes a while, and so, Essen didn't get on. Essen was the 5th person who joined our campaign, who, he's an Air Genasi blood hunter,
yeah.
Yeah. They got off at the very last stop, and so Juliet was napping, because, like, she's hungover. Duh. Hops was digging through trash. Obviously.
Yes.
Where else would she be, doing? Morgan wanted to go see the conductor and the engineer just to, like, ask questions and stuff, but there was a lady there, like, hey, you can't get in there, and he's like, oh, can I give you 2 coins?
Yeah.
Like, Morgan always wants to give people money. Like, for what reason? I don't know. He just always wants to give people money. Like, and he's like, I'll give you like 20 gold if you let me in. She's like, no, wait, what?
Yeah.
And she's like, I'm sorry, but I still can't let you in this place. And he's like, really dejected, and she's like, well, here, and, like, hands him, like, this train whistle that's meant for kids, and he still gives her the 20 gold, even though this thing is free.
Gives her the 20 gold, and then starts trying to slide coins into, like, the conductor's cabin.
Yes, that's right. Like, please let me in if I show you coins.
Oh, man.
So he comes back, and immediately starts blowing the train whistle, which wakes Juliet up, and she's pissed off, and she's like, I swear to God, I will chuck that thing out the window. So now that she's fully awake, she decides to go explore the train. There's like a cart for everybody's horses. One is pony-sized for Morgan, specifically.
And for Hops, too.
Which I think, and for Hops, yep. And then she moves on to the dining cart, where there's this one just kid trying his damn best to make sure everything is spick and span, but, like, if you've ever been on a train, it's, like, all over the damn place with how, like, rockety and stuff, like, the train tracks are. Unless you're on, like, some bullet train or something like that, but, like, this is an old-fashioned Western hee-haw train, alright? So, he literally cannot keep his shit together, and she's like, oh my God, I got this. So, given her background, not only as a barmaid, but something else, she just whips this kid into shape in, like, 5 seconds.
Oh, man, yeah. Oh, I forgot about that tiny little scene. Yeah, no, that was super duper great. And then afterwards, as a reward, I believe he let you into, the place where they keep all the alcohol in the train?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. She was like, alright, cool. And he's like, oh my gosh, how can I ever thank you? Alcohol. What? Yeah, you heard me. Alcohol.
Oh, man. Yeah, so he hands you, like a bottle at first, and then I could have sworn you, like, walked past him and then grabbed a barrel instead.
Yes. I was like, no, hold on. And, because she's a barmaid, for how long she has done that, she knows which alcohol is actual good alcohol, so she grabs the most expensive kind they had, picks this thing up by herself, and just fucking leaves.
Yeah. And again, this is one of, like, just those, like, fated moments you see in D&D, because, like, I had something planned up later, and we can talk about this in a bit, but, as you, like, were taking the, barrel of alcohol, I kind of said, like, okay, as you are, like, taking, like, the barrel, would you say it's fair that you're, like, sloshing a little bit of it out, and there's, like, you're just leaving, like, an alcohol trail, like, as you go?
Yeah, and I was like, absolutely, because, like, she's not that strong. She's just, wanting alcohol.
Yeah. And so, like, it was just a perfect moment, so I just wrote that down in my notes and then continued onwards. And then, I believe at this point, was it, Essen's introduction?
Yes. Oh, yeah, you're right. Yep.
Yeah.
So he gets on the train, and... Yeah, you go ahead.
Okay, so, Essen was a character we needed to introduce just a little bit later because the player was just, like, busy with school and stuff. But when I decided to introduce Essen's character, I decided to give Essen just a very, very strong reason to stick with the party for a little bit. Essen's a very, like, lawful good character again, and so, like, I decided to say, you were kind of, like, traveling the countryside and, like, taking down, like, these small, like, bandit camps, which is fairly easy for you to do as a level 5 blood hunter at this point. And so I said, you found out some information from one of the bandit dens that the sheriff of Hope's Landing is going to be assassinated. So, if you see the sheriff of Hope's Landing, cough, cough, maybe tell him that, cough, cough. Yeah, so gave Essen these very, very, like, strong hints and a very, like, good reason to talk to Boondock. And so, yeah, Essen got on the train on the next to last stop before you guys would get off the train and get to Hope's Landing. And as Essen does, I happened to roll an intelligence check to realize that, the sheriff of Hope's Landing is on this train. So, Boondock and Essen get to talk for a little bit about, like, that sort of thing, and I really enjoyed kind of playing into Boondock's character for a little bit there, because I very specifically said that no sane bandit wants to take down this, like, order, because, like, he's the sheriff, and, like, he's, like, been known for, like, this insanely strict sheriffing policy in his hometown, so no reasonable bandit is going to do that. So but then I mentioned, like, the only people who would be willing to do that would be a fairly competent assassin, or, like, someone who, like, really had grudges against you. Yeah, so Boondock's player really enjoyed, like, kind of playing up the fact of, like, there's supposed to be this kind of, like, badass sheriff, while also moving the plot forward there. So I believe at this point then, did you guys still, like, do anything with the train, or was this the point where the plot started moving forward?
I think this is the point where the plot started moving forward, because all I can remember is Hop's, like, sticky hands to the window, just, like, trying to pilfer around people's luggages to see if she could find any trash or something. And we were like, yeah, okay.
In people's luggages.
Yeah.
Yeah, so plot moves forward a little bit, and Boondock notices that one of the people who is currently working on the train, currently, like, carrying, like, some bags and stuff around, is a person he knows from his hometown, Titus. And so, like, they have, like, a brief conversation where Titus is kind of like, oh yeah, I mean, this is a decent enough job, you know how it is. Boondock's not too suspicious right now, but, like, he can tell that, like, something is clearly up, and Titus is clearly holding something back, as one of my favorite devices that I've ever put in there, Boondock's brand starts to glow. So anytime the shapeshifter is near Boondock, Boondock's brand might start, like, glowing if the shapeshifter's in their, like, true form, which I really just love as a plot device, because it just, like, sets you guys immediately on edge, because, like, like, the shapeshifter is near somewhere. But yeah, do you want to start explaining from here then?
So we all knew that the shapeshifter was near, and we were like, oh, okay, well, crap, what's going on? And I think at that point, the woman who was in front of the engine room, Titus, and then the kid that Juliet interacted with all came into the front, into the cart that we were all in. And we were like, oh shit, this is a setup. And immediately got into battle. But as the four of us got to battle, Morgan, Juliet, Boondock, and Essen, Hopscotch decided, let me stick my head out the window, and sees the shapeshifter right on top of the damn train, and decides, I'm gonna go for it. I bet that lady needs a sail. And we're like,
yeah.
Okay.
So, Hopscotch sneaks out the damn window, and this is one of those things where it's like, I have no idea what, like, Hops' player is, like, attempting to do here, but I know just that, like, I expected, like, all of you to try and, like, look at the top of the train or something like that. I did not expect that one of you was trying to go, like, by yourself. So Hops crawls out the window, starts, climbing, on the side of the train towards, the shapeshifter. They realize the shapeshifter has, like, a red gem in their hand, and they, like, toss the red gem towards the caboose of the train. As they do, Hopscotch tries to, like, grab it out of the air, but isn't able to. And so, like, I'm starting to get, like, slightly, like, worried now, too, because, like, Hopscotch is now by herself versus a person who was able to easily take down the, four of you guys in the dungeon. So, I'm trying to figure out ways that, like, the shapeshifter is just going to, like, let Hopscotch go, and I'm like, oh, well, if Hopscotch doesn't, like, do anything, then the shapeshifter is probably just gonna taunt Hopscotch and fly away. But then Hopscotch did a thing.
She fucking suplexed the shapeshifter off the train.
Hops isn't even good at grappling, but I think, like, Hops got, like, a really high score, like a nat 20 or something, compared to the shapeshifter's, like 6.
That, yeah.
So, yeah, they use their tongue like a lasso, they wrap around the shapeshifter, and they decide, that they're going to suplex both of them off of the train. Yep, pretty much. But, it was at this point where, like, the fight inside of the train was, like, wrapping up, and so I said, like, okay, let's take a 5-minute break here while I figure out what the hell I am going to do with the shapeshifter and Hops 1v1ing each other.
Yeah. And all of us were like, alright, cool, well, goodbye, Hops. Like, we don't know what's
been real.
And then, so we defeated all the hostages. We realized that, Dr. was like, you know, not alive.
Yeah.
And, we go in there. I think Morgan or Essen are the ones who knew how to stop the train exactly. But as we're doing that, all of a sudden we feel like this heat coming from some of the train, like, behind the train, right?
Yeah.
And, yeah, because of... Oh, wait, I forgot to add this little detail that I'm really proud of. I Donkey Kong barreled one of the assassins.
You did, yeah.
That was a proud moment of mine. I remember asking, could I do that? And you were like, what? And I was like, I want to Donkey Kong kick them. You gotta think of some creative stuff to keep it spicy, okay?
Yeah. As a DM, sometimes you just gotta say to your players, well, you can certainly try.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And you best believe I will try. 1000% I will try.
Oh, man.
But anyway, so we feel this heat coming from, like, the back of the train, and we were like, what the heck is going on? All of a sudden, a fire elemental who decided to follow the trail of alcohol that I decided to leave behind me to the cart that we were in. Wow, I wonder how he could have got there.
Yeah, no, and that was just a really fun moment of, like, I have the fire elemental planned out, and, like, yeah, I guess that's gonna, like, go up to, like, the front of the train now, because you have this, like, alcohol trail that, like, It was just such, like, a good little moment of, like, you guys did a thing, and then it just kind of played perfectly into my plans.
I messed up. Again.
Oh, man.
Again.
Now.
Again.
I can tell the next part of this because, I have a little bit of a rant for this next part. So, if there's any players out there listening to this podcast, if you learn one piece of information from this, it will make it sure it is this. Never, ever, ever split the party. Never. When you design encounters as a DM, basically what you do is that, like, for each player, depending on, like, the number of players you have, you can increase the amount of XP by, like, a fixed amount. So, a group of, like, level 5 adventurers would be able to handle something like 3,000 XP. A group of 4 would be able to handle 4,000 XP. A group of 5 would be able to handle 5,000 XP. When you take one person out of that group, you are effectively taking the number of XP that a party could reasonably handle and reducing it by 1,000 or more. So here are the order of events that happened. In order for you guys to have the fire elemental be like a fair, reasonable fight, all 5 of you would have to be fighting it. Here's also what I had for, like, balance in case you guys were, like, running low on health. If you guys fought the fire elemental, you could have just kept it in, like, the caboose, and as the train was running, if one person decided to, like, break the links of the track, then the fire elemental and the caboose would just go, like, running off into, like, the desert, and you guys would be, like, just fine. But instead, it followed the trail of alcohol all the way to the front of the train, and so now everyone needs to fight it. But that's fine, you at least have 4 people, and so I said that, because Hops fell off the train, if Hops manages to get away from the shapeshifter, then Hops should only be, like, 60 feet away. And I think, like, pretty much every single one of you, including Hops' players, said, no, that's not how it works. Hops would at least be 1,000 feet away or something like that. I'm like, are you guys sure you want to have Hops 20 rounds away from being able to catch up to you guys? And you're like, yeah, that sounds great, because I want realism in my D&D game. I'm like, okay, fine, 4 of you can fight an elemental, this is fine. We cut over to Hops, and, like, Hops actually does manage to get away from the shapeshifter through a moment of cunning I am very, very proud of from Hops, as Hops immediately is confronted by the shapeshifter, who is, like, getting up in Hops' face and, like, is ready to, like, tear Hops apart, and Hops just immediately pulls out a box of her wares and starts, like, offering her trades.
Yes, all of her many little treasures. Like her snails, the rib she found, the, like, now kind of gross, decaying intestines of ghouls, like, everything.
The one trait I wanted for the shapeshifter is that they really like, having adventurers who, like, think they can, like, take down the shapeshifter, and then, like, watching as their, like, confidence turns to despair as they realize they're not able to take him down. And so, like, as, like, they're getting ready for this big fight and they really, like, want to fight this, the frog woman, they slowly start realizing that the frog woman does not care about fighting, the shapeshifter whatsoever. And I literally just said, like, yeah, the shapeshifter kind of looks at you and realizes that the lights are on, but nobody's home.
Pretty much. Yeah, pretty much. I think that's exactly what you said.
Yeah, and the shapeshifter became so uninterested in Hops because, like, Hops wasn't worth taking down that the shapeshifter literally just said, fuck this, I'm flying away. And Hops actually managed to solve that encounter by just being herself.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, so, unfortunately though, Hops was 20 rounds away from being able to help you guys fight the fire elemental as you guys started trying to take that thing down. I described the rest of the train being on fire from the alcohol, and you guys realized, like, oh shit, there's horses in the cabin. And I also realized that at the exact same time.
It was a learning moment for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So Morgan was the first one to be like, oh my god, we need to go save the horses now, and like disengaged, well, tactical roll, I should say. Tactical rolled away into the horse cart train thing.
Mm-hmm.
And as we were fighting the fire elemental, Juliet had like, what, I think 5 HP left or something like that.
Yeah.
So she turned into a fox in front of everyone, might I say, and fucking dipped out of there and helped Morgan talk to the horses, because I think it was Hops' horse that was super skittish, like, hey, yo, we should leave.
Yeah.
With the hostages and everything. So Morgan and I got the horses out. I think we got the hostages out in time as well.
Mm-hmm. You did, yes. And then what did you do after you got all the horses and the hostages out?
Well, I decided I'm going to go find Hops, while still in fox form, by the way. So this tiny little, like, red maroon fox hops onto a giant horse, which is Juliet's size, by the way, and takes the reins in her mouth and starts heading toward wherever Hops was, with Hops' pony following. Boondock hops onto a horse with Essen to get the fire elemental away from the train, but it didn't really matter anyway, because the train was mostly on fire.
And then, at that point, instead of the 5 people I had planned out to take on the fire elemental, we're now down to 2 people taking on the fire elemental. Fun.
Yeah, we kind of fucked that up.
Yeah. And so I'm describing as, like, the horse is, like, sprinting through the desert, because I'm looking at the fire elemental stats, and, like, the fire elemental is literally as fast as a horse. So...
Is it really?
Yeah, no, the fire elemental is stupid fast. I didn't expect for it to be like this chase scene, but it was very easily, like, able to catch up to the duo that were on the horses. They were trying to, like, do a bunch of plans and stuff like that, and, like, I kind of applaud them. There were, honestly, like, some pretty good plans in there. And then we got to, honestly, a really great moment, because, Essen, he decided that, I am going to try to sacrifice myself in order to give, like, Boondock a chance to escape, which is wild for the first...
very first time meeting this satyr dude.
Yeah. Oh, man. And so he decides to try and hop off of the horse. Boondock then grapples Essen and keeps him on the horse while also trying to, like, steer the horse. And so I had Boondock try to make, like, I think a dexterity throw to, like, make sure he could keep, like, the horse under control and keep Essen on the horse, which he ends up not quite doing perfectly, so the horse ends up slowing down, giving the fire elemental time to, like, create this ring of fire around them. Both of them are, like, down to the wire. Both of them are down to, like, single-digit HP, about to just, like, die at the fire elemental so much as, like, gives them a mean look. And then I just have to realize, like, I have to, like, intervene with some DM bullshit here to not TPK the party, session 2. But end up honestly being really, really cool DM bullshit, because I told Essen, hey, if you want to reveal a part of your backstory, you will get out of this fight, no problem. And so, Essen's player was kind of like, well, I guess then at that point that we kind of have to do it, as Essen slowly transformed into this giant deer-dragon hybrid, and took down the fire elemental in one swipe, as this, like, deer, dragon hybrid then, said to Essen, you owe me for this. And afterwards, Essen immediately passed out.
I remember this scene because I was so confused as to what the fuck was going on. Because I was like, wait a second, I thought this was an air genasi. All of a sudden it turned into a changeling or some shit with a god? Like, what's happening?
Oh, man. Yeah, so, to explain a little more about Essen's backstory, what Essen basically is a blood hunter, more specifically a lycanthrope blood hunter, and so we kind of changed a lot of like the mechanics and stuff like that in order to, instead of like a transformation into like just a more like bestial self, what Essen's transformation is basically he transforms into a god that his soul has been fused with. So more specifically, his soul has been like housing a Kieran right now. And you guys are eventually going to find out some more information about the why of this whole thing happening. But for right then and there at that session, the only thing you guys knew was that Essen and the Kieran were like one being.
Well, the only people, like, well, all of us players knew, yes, but the only characters that knew what happened was Boondock. I don't think Morgan saw it because there was like a huge wall of fire coming from the fire elemental, so I don't think Morgan actually saw anything other than like, yo, how did that happen? But okay, cool.
And that was honestly a really interesting character moment because like Boondock, I believe, then chose not to tell anyone about this like transformation because like they figured like, oh, if Essen like wanted to keep it a secret, like there's probably a reason they're keeping it a secret, so
right, yeah.
Oh man. So yeah, I guess like, yeah, did you have any other thoughts when you kind of saw this transformation, or just besides
I literally was just like, what is happening? I was like, I just want to go get Hop so she's not alone, because I'm scared she's gonna dry up because she's a frog in the desert. Those were my thoughts while I was like, But the funny thing is, she's just like accepted the fact a tiny fox was riding a horse toward her and was like, okay, cool, yeah, let's go.
Hops is just vibing, honestly.
Oh, the whole time she's just like, alright, cool, yeah, let's go. And so eventually the party meets back up, and we look upon the train that is currently on fire. The hostages are all knocked out over Boondock's horse. Yeah, and we kind of realized that Hops's cart was in the train. We were all like, oh, there goes her wares.
Yeah, I felt bad about that one.
Yeah.
Oh man, though, like that session went so differently from how I pictured it in my mind, because again, I really thought you were just going to like ditch the cart with the fire elemental and then just take the train the rest of the way to Hope's Landing, and then just like, yeah, but you know, oops.
Yeah, but I'm low-key really bitter about the end because I was still in fox form and I didn't want to come out of fox form. Alright?
Oh my god.
I was so pissed because they're all like, they turn and look at this fox that's chilling on a horse like, oh, hey, where's Juliet? Oh, I don't know. Alright, I guess we'll just leave. And I'm like, you bastards. You're just gonna fucking leave. Like, I get it, we're not close yet, but rude.
Oh my god. Yeah.
And then Essen has the goddamn gall to go up to the fox and talk to it like it fucking understood. Like, hey, can I sit on the horse? And the fox just like, you know, nods its head, but to the back. Like, he has to sit in the back, not the front.
Yeah. God. That was so fucking, like, wild to me, though, that, like, every single one of the characters was like, fuck it. Juliet's gone now.
She'll be fine. Like, you know, it's fine. This desert that she probably has never fucking set foot in, it's fine. She'll find her way somehow.
It's either that she's alone in the desert by herself with no supplies, or that she is in the burning train, which they decided, well, cut our losses at that point.
I guess she's dead. Oh well, let's go. Like, bruh.
Oh man.
Bitter.
True heroes.
That we are.
Yeah.
That we are.
I guess then, so the second episode, then you guys had a lot more like in-character moments. What were your thoughts on like the other like characters at that point, besides the like bitterness of them leaving you for dead?
Okay, well, when we first got introduced to Essen, I was like, oh, he's like a wizard or something. Like, I didn't know what the class was until like later on, and I was like, oh, that makes sense. Okay, I thought Essen was like this studious wizard who was just like overly curious about everything, because he and Boondock talked for a while about stuff, and I was like, oh my gosh, this dude's like probably some super smart, wizard man. I kind of already had a feel on what Hops was, so that was okay. I did enjoy the fact that Boondock kind of opened up a little bit more on like what we were expecting in Hope's Landing. So I was like, okay, cool. I get a little better idea of what he's gonna act like. Morgan is always a fucking wild card to me. Like, I never know what he's gonna fucking do next, because that fucking train whistle, I was like, I swear. He at one point, he was blowing the train whistle under a blanket, so he thought that I couldn't hear it, but I was like, dude, I have fox ears on top of my goddamn head. You think I'm not gonna listen to this shit?
God, that was such a funny image, though, of just, like, this small, like, lump underneath the blanket you just hear train whistle noises from.
Just like, Morgan, knock it off. He's like, oh, sorry.
Oh my god. Yeah.
I think at one point he even offered me gold too. That. I'm like, bro, keep your goddamn money.
Oh my god. Yeah, no.
Yeah.
God. I can never expect, like, what Morgan is going to do next, though.
Like, we always say that, oh yeah, Hops is like the wild card stuff. No, it's really not. Like, we can understand what Hops' brain is kind of like processing through. Morgan, no fucking clue. Absolutely no idea.
The man is an enigma.
He is an enigma, exactly.
Oh my gosh. And then slightly related as we transition into our next little topic, very thematic. Are there any other thoughts you had about Essen as you, like, look back on this and kind of realize, like, because minor spoilers for the next arc, but at the end of the arc, Juliet and Essen have ended up in a relationship, or at least, like, somewhat close to it.
Kind of a ship. It's not official yet. Yeah, but it's a ship.
It's slowly being, like, pushed together.
Yeah. I honestly did not think this ship was going to happen at all. I'm going to be a 10,000% honest. I had no idea what was going to happen. I was like, alright, cool. Essen's like some smart dude that'll probably save our asses for the most part, because all of us are kind of like, yeah, let's go fight these things. And Essen is like the only voice of reason who's like, hello, we should get a plan fucking first before we're like, no, let's just go.
The only one.
So that's exactly. Essen is the only one who can read. That is his role of the campaign, and no one can change that. Anyway, but literally, those were just my thoughts. I was like, okay, so Essen's probably going to be the voice of reason and the one that actually like brings up strategies for this whole thing. I didn't think anything else of it. I was like, all right, cool, that's it. And then more shit happened, and I was like, oh, what's going on? Oh, it's happening. It's happening, everyone.
Oh, man. Yeah. So, the first thing I do want to talk about, though, is, like, I know, like, relationships in D&D, like, there's a lot of people who think it has, like, no place in it, and, like, I definitely understand that, because, like, I can only imagine, like, the horror stories some people have about, like, relationships with their characters, and, like, especially, like, relationships they didn't want, or, like, characters they didn't want being hit on, like, ugh, that's gross.
Yeah.
I think, though, that, like, having, like, somewhat of, like, relationships, though, like, in a campaign is really, really good, because if everyone is, like, mature enough to handle that sort of thing.
Oh, yeah.
Because, like, if, like, you guys, like, weren't in, like, the relationship, then, like, all, like, these reveals and stuff in the future wouldn't be, like, as impactful, and, like, you guys, like, really, like, your characters care for each other, like, so much, and, like, you honestly have done some pretty wild things, because of this,
yeah, like a whole like barber change, man. Like a lot of shit happened.
Yeah, no, I'm looking forward to talking about that whole bit.
Oh, I'm so excited to talk about that, but I will wait.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that you need, though, in order to, like, introduce the idea of, like, relationships into a game is that you have to have, like, clear set expectations and, like, boundaries that everyone, like, follows. So, Session 0, I very specifically said, like, I am totally fine with, like, flirting and stuff like that, because, like, that's just funny. Like, and like,
all the shit that I've done trying to flirt my way out of things.
Yeah, exactly. It's just an aspect of your character, and like it makes sense that you like do these like fun flirty things, and it just makes your character fun because of it.
I don't think she successfully has done any flirting.
And like, that's the best part.
I should say.
And
like,
I've
tried to roll so many times, and they're like, no, you just intimidated the shit out of him. And I'm like, God damn it.
Oh, man. Yeah, I'm looking forward to talking about how you managed to fucking scare a man half to death trying to seduce him. Oh my god. Yeah, no.
Good times.
And so the other rule I also had is that, like, if it gets anything beyond, like, flirting or, like, you know, just, like, you know, the one, like, big kiss scene, it just fade to black after that. Like, no further. We do not need to hear, like, the nitty-gritty of, details and stuff like that.
Yeah, you can go to Wattpad or something like that for that kind of shit. Like,
Yeah.
How awkward would it be just to sit in a room and all of a sudden these two just to start describing like their sex life and you're like, ew, what the fuck is going on? I just wanted to roll these math dice. Like, what's happening?
I just wanted to fight some kobolds. What's happening to me?
I brought these dice and I don't want to hear this about the birds and the bees. Oh, that conversation with Hops. No tadpoles specifically.
No tadpoles.
No tadpoles.
Oh my god. Yeah, no. But, having, like, the flirting stuff between your two characters, like, I think it's extremely funny when you can, like, when you guys, like, flirt, with each other NPCs, and, like, the NPCs don't get it, or, like, you accidentally intimidate the NPCs, or just, like, yeah. There's a whole lot of, like, just funny moments you can have with that, but I also do enjoy, like, the fluffy scenes where you guys do, so you want to explain,
absolutely.
Like, yeah, do you guys kind of, like, just kind of like feel that one out and like how much fluff to include, because like you've been really really good about like having these light fluffy like flirting scenes where it's like it's cute without like, you know, getting too like fucking romance poem, you know?
Yeah. Well, so this is the thing, I literally had no idea that this was actually going to become a ship. Nobody did until like all of a sudden it started like we didn't even talk about this like at all, and like all of a sudden they became like kind of a ship, and we're like, oh, so is this gonna be a thing? And we're like, yes, it's gonna be a thing. I'm like, oh shit, all right, here we go, boys. Like, we didn't plan anything. Like, it's mostly just kind of feeling what each other is comfortable with, and once we kind of like realize like, okay, we can do this, here we go, kind of thing. So like the start, I'm gonna kind of like reach in a little bit to episode 3, just kind of like that's where it started. Essen climbs onto the back of the horse, and he's kind of like disturbed with all of the things that's like kind of just happened. Like, oh my god, I owe the Kieran a favor. Holy shit! And he's kind of like having a minor panic attack. And I think he's one of those sensory people. Like, if he touches something, he can calm down. Like, and like a fox is in front of him. Who's not gonna touch a fox? You know what I mean? And he starts like kind of petting her back, and she's like, okay, I will allow it for now. And then as they start moving forward, she realizes nobody is really gonna go back and look for her, so she pops back into like her humanoid form. Like, you guys are fucking assholes. Yeah. They're like, oh hey,
and no one questioned it.
Yeah, they're like, oh, you can magically turn into a fox? That's cool. I didn't know Tabaxis could do that. I'm like, you guys are fucking assholes. That's rude as hell. Rude as hell.
Oh my god.
And then at that point, I think Essen like kind of like hugged her. And she was like, whoa, what the fuck are you doing? I don't even know you, man. And he's like, can I just please just relax a little bit? Because I'm like freaking the fuck out. And she's like, okay. Alright, just don't fucking touch my tail. We're good. And he's like, oh, okay, I guess. And she's like, bro, get off me. Like, who are you? But but I think she's one of those people who have been in like many a time like panic situations, so she understands like, okay, this guy needs like, you know, some time. And then eventually, as they keep like traveling forward, she lets him touch her tail, which is a big thing because like I think her tail is like one of the more like sensitive spots. It's like trusting somebody enough to, like, you know, pet your hair for the first time, or like holding their hand for the first time, but that's like part of her. So she's like, okay, calm the fuck down, don't tug, we're good, alright, this is a little weird, but we're good.
Oh man. Yeah, no. And like that was the point where like none of us were kind of expecting it, and like you guys just ended up like doing that, and like there was so many more like tiny little moments where like that where like I'm kind of realizing like, oh, these two like characters are just like slowly being like pushed together. And so I think like I like eventually decided to just straight up ask you guys like, hey, if this is a thing you guys are cool with, I can like also talk about it with like the rest of the people playing and see if we're all comfortable with the idea of like introducing one relationship into the group dynamic here.
I think literally all of us were like, it's a ship, where have you been? Mm-hmm. Like, and we were like, oh, okay.
Yeah, no. And both of you were just like enthusiastically like on board for sure about it, and like again, that's a big thing, is that like both players have to be like comfortable with the idea and like comfortable with the boundaries and stuff like that. Yeah, and so because everyone's like all good with it, we went forward with it, and like it's been working out again so well because you guys like you guys characters care about each other, and like
enough to make some stupid ass decisions.
Yeah.
Mainly on fucking my part.
Yeah. Really just adds like a lot of like depth to like some of the decisions you guys have to make, and like, you know, all of you guys are going to be in danger, like just period, no matter like where you guys are going to go, there's definitely going to be some kind of danger.
Oh yeah.
So, you know, having those like nice like tense moments where like one of you is in danger like provides like good role-playing opportunities that mix in with the combat.
Mm-hmm.
And because of all this, like other people in the group are kind of like interested in like oh yeah, maybe like my character could eventually like get like a ship or something like that with a reasonable like NPC or something like that, and like I'm
like another satyr, cough
like,
cough.
Yeah, dude, I'm really looking forward to like introducing Boondock to this dumb himbo.
I love him, even though we all tried to kill him, but I love him. What was his name?
What was that?
What was his name? I can't remember.
Oh yeah, I haven't given the satyr a name yet, so I was asking Boondock's player for a name, and so like I still haven't like quite figured it out. If you or like any of our viewers, if you can send me any sort of like dumb himbo names, I would be much appreciative of this. Please.
Now I'm like, what would be a really funny himbo name? I think that's one of the hardest things to do while making a character is giving them a name that'll stick. Because like I only named Juliet because of the Shakespeare play Romeo and Juliet. Like, not because I thought this was going to be a ship. I absolutely had no idea or no intentions at all for anything to become a ship with her. Mm-hmm. I did it based on her backstory, which I'm not going to say now because it's kind of spoiler, but I was just like, this is hilarious. It's very cliche, but I'm fucking loving it. It's fine.
Oh, man. Yeah, so when you, like, name your characters, this is definitely what we're talking about. Yeah. Is it always just, like, thematic names you just, like, get from, like, books or stories or something like that?
Kinda, sorta. I look through, like, different, I kind of base my characters based on sometimes, like, where I get inspiration from. So, like, if her last name is Haejung, which I got from Korea, because she's, like, more of, like, an Asian-based kind of thing. So I was like, oh, Haejung, that's cool. I'll name her that. And I forgot the meaning behind it, but I named her because there was a meaning behind it, and I can't remember it now. But, and then I have Nina Solisar. She is a human paladin, and I think she kind of comes from Latin America because, like, her nickname is, like, the Sun Soldier, so she's, like, from, like more of a sunny place, so, like, Latin America. And I was just like, something like that, because, like, I'm Mexican American, so, like, it's kind of from my culture. And I was like, what's like a good like Latin himbo name that I can just kind of copy paste in there? And I was like, Nina, perfect. So, and then I think the other ones, I do some research on like different like cultures that I'm interested in, and like kind of go from there. Or like, you know, I also have this this Kenku little baby, and his name is literally just Crow, and they're like, "That's your name? Aren't you a crow?" Yep, that's the name. That's it. And you're like, okay.
Oh man. Yeah, no, I pretty much do the exact same thing. It's, I normally end up just looking, like, at different, like, myths and legends and stuff like that, depending on how I want to, like, flavor the character, but it always ends up being something like a character I based was, on, like, kind of, like, Norse culture, and so, like, I end up kind of, like, naming, like, this monk, Scotty, for, like, this, Norse goddess, just because like it felt thematic with like the backstory and having this like somewhat motherly character. But you know, it's just like looking at these like legends and like trying to like figure out the main themes and stuff like that of like these characters in the legends before I like end up stealing the names.
Yeah, that's a good thing to put in is like, please research before you give them names. Like, oh, I'm gonna name this character Zeus. And if you know anything about Greek mythology, anything at all, it's Zeus puts his dick into everything.
Yep.
That's all you need to know about Zeus for the most part. And I remember this. I remember this because it was like one of my first or second campaigns, and they're like, yeah, his name's Zeus because he's super cool and like he does lightning. And I was like, what is he? Is he a bard? And he's like, no, why would you ask that? And I'm like, you okay, well, do you know anything about Zeus other than the fact he does, like, thunder and lightning? Well, he's, like, king of the gods, right? And I'm like, he fucks everything. Is that what you're trying to do? And he's like, no, that's not. I'm like, then choose Thor or something else. Why Zeus? Like, you could choose any other name. I could have given you a list, like, of sky gods. You could have looked in the player's handbook, anything. You didn't have to choose Zeus, but you did. So now you have to deal with it.
Oh my god. That actually reminds me of, I was making a Yuan Ti character, and the original name I was gonna go for, this character was, Zahar, which means the, Serpent King.
Yeah.
And you've seen Homestuck, haven't you?
Fucking fortunately, yes.
Now,
yes.
I didn't. I have not been pulled into the dark abysses of that. But
oh my gosh,
I mentioned the character name to one of my friends, and they just immediately were just like, "You got to change the name. You have to change the name, my guy."
Please, just shield your eyes. Nobody research that. You don't have to. Just take my word for it. Yeah. You don't have to. Don't look it up. It's fine. It's not even that bad. It's not even porn or anything. But as soon as you start looking it up, your algorithm is gonna be all off, and you're gonna see Homestuck shit, and you're gonna be sucked in. So please,
yeah,
just trust me.
You guys will know when you'll see it. And unfortunately, on that note, I think we should wrap things up.
Okay.
Thank you so much for listening to us, especially that part where we got into Homestuck.
Not sponsored.
Not sponsored. Again, if you guys want to support us and help us keep making this kind of content for you guys, please consider supporting us on Patreon. We have some, like, rewards for you guys, too, if you guys decide to support us. So, you know, yeah, give a little, get a little.
You get things.
Yeah. But, yeah, so thank you all so much, and we'll see you guys next week.
Yeah!